If I could go back in time, knowing everything I know now about money, investing, and the housing market, would I still buy a house? Because over the last few years, I've seen both sides of it. I've seen the good and the parts that no one really talks about. I've seen the hidden costs, the stress, the responsibility, but also the upside, the equity, the stability, and something less obvious, the peace of mind. So in this video, I want to give you a completely honest answer to that question. Would I buy a house again? And hopefully this will help you decide what's right for you in your current situation. For a bit more context, my wife and I, we bought a block of land and we built a house here in Queensland in 2021. And this was a really chaotic time for us because we were getting married at the same time as well. So it was very busy and we had to work really hard to pay for all of it. At the time, it felt like a huge decision, a massive amount of debt, a very long-term commitment, and honestly, it was really scary. Fast forward to today, and we've experienced some pretty strong rise in the housing market. Our property has increased in value, and it's given us a decent amount of equity. We've been able to get really ahead in our mortgage repayments, and on paper, it looks like a great decision, but there's more to it than just the numbers. So let's start with something that most people underestimate, and that is the true cost of owning a home. Because it's not just your mortgage. Once you own a house, everything becomes your responsibility. If something breaks, that's on you to fix it, and it all adds up really quickly. And that's not to account for things like rates, insurance, maintenance, repairs. And if you don't own a newly built home, sometimes you have to do renovations as well. And there's always something, and it's rarely cheap. You don't get to call your landlord anymore because you are the landlord. And that shift can be pretty confronting at the start, especially if you're used to the rental market. And then there's opportunity cost. At that age, Sophie and I stacked up heaps of cash, but when you buy a house, a lot of that money gets tied up into a few different things. One, there's your deposit. For us, including government grants to build the house, our deposit came to over 90 grand, which was a huge amount of money to Sophie and I at the time, and it honestly broke our hearts watching it leave our bank account. Then there's your mortgage repayments, and at the start, it can be pretty hefty. For us, it was around $750 per week. And then there's ongoing costs like all the stuff I mentioned before. That's money that could have otherwise been invested in the stock market, like my ETF strategy, in business opportunities that may pop up. So buying a home isn't just about what you gain, but it's also about what you give up. Now, with all of that said, there are some really big positives as well. The first one is equity. Over the last few years, the housing market has worked heavily in our favor. Our property has increased in value, and that has built a significant amount of equity for us. Now, yes, that's largely market driven and it's not guaranteed, but over long periods of time, property has historically trended upwards. And being exposed to that, especially when we got in just before the COVID period, has been a massive benefit to us and our finances. Then there's the second benefit, something that a lot of people overlook. Owning a home forces you to build wealth consistently. Every mortgage payment you make is part interest and it's also part principal. And that principal portion is essentially forced savings. So even if you're not actively investing elsewhere, and for the two of us who were very early in our 20s with not a lot of financial discipline, having something that forced us to build wealth was really helpful in hindsight because we were building equity that whole time, but it also helped us to build that discipline because we didn't have any other option but to meet that mortgage repayment every single week. So learning to meet that mortgage repayment and sometimes pay a little bit extra into it every single week helped us financially mature a lot faster than we probably would have without a mortgage. But the biggest benefit for me has nothing to do with money. It's the mental side of it. Not having to deal with landlords or worry about rent increases, not wondering if you're going to be asked to move out. That level of stability is honestly really underrated because you can settle in, you can make the place your own, you can make changes to the place without having to get it approved beforehand, and you can plan long term. And for us, that peace of mind has been huge. Now, here's where things get a smidge more complicated because buying a house today is very different to even just a few years ago. Prices are drastically higher and interest rates are higher as well. And affordability is the real challenge. For a lot of people, getting into the market now requires a much larger deposit, higher repayments, and more financial pressure. And that's something you just can't ignore, especially when making such a big financial decision. Just because it works well for us doesn't automatically mean it's the right move for everyone right now. And that really highlights that personal finance, it is just that, it's personal. What works for some doesn't work for others. So you need to weigh up what is best for you in your current situation. So coming back to the original question, would I buy a house again? And for me personally, the answer is yes, but not blindly. In today's housing market, it it probably wouldn't happen the same way. But I would still do it for the long-term stability, the forced wealth building, and the mental freedom that comes with owning your own place. But I would also go into it with a much clearer understanding of the true costs of home ownership and the responsibility and the trade-offs that are involved as well. I think this is where a lot of people can get it wrong. They see buying a house as either the best financial decision you can make or a terrible one. But the reality is it's both financial and emotional. And whether you like it or not, emotion is a part of investment. And buying a house is part investment, part lifestyle decision. And what's right for one person might not be right for someone else. So if you're thinking about buying a house, I encourage you to ask yourself, do you value stability? Are you comfortable taking on the responsibility of owning a home? And does it actually fit your financial situation right now? Because if the numbers don't work, the stress probably isn't worth it. I'm really curious on this one. If you've bought a house, would you do it again? Or if you're renting right now, are you planning to buy? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop me a like. And if this is the first time watching one of my videos, make sure you hit subscribe because YouTube may never show you one of my videos again. And also it's really fun when the button changes color. Have you tried that? You should do it now. And as always, guys, I wish you all the best on your wealth building journey. Hey guys, if you enjoyed that video, you should click here. No, because YouTube thinks you'll like this video. You should click it. No, but seriously. Come on, why haven't you clicked yet?